Oh man, it's no good. Can't sleep. Can't stop my brain, and now it's been 3 weeks. I'm going insane. Oh, I'd give you everything that I got for a peace of mind, I tell you. Oh, to be able to turn off my mind, relax and float downstream like I used to. Now though, everything's just a hard day's night. Oh, I'm going insane, we're going insane. I feel like I need a fag, man. Oh, it's bad for you, but I really need one. Oh, bloody Sir Walter Raleigh, what a git that man was. Oh, I'll curse you forevermore, Raleigh, you little bugger. Oh, I'm going insane. It's been 3 weeks. I just want peace of mind. What does it take to get a good night's sleep again? Oh, I need a good sleep, but I can't get a good sleep. Oh my God. I mean, you'll think that I'm putting this on, but man, I tell you, it's no joke. This is doing me harm. I am going insane. I have not slept for so long. I just want a good night's sleep. Please. Please, can I have a good night's sleep? Welcome back to the White Album in depth. This is episode 10. I'm so tired. In spring 1968, the Beatles went to Rishikesh in India to study meditation under the guidance of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. So whilst there, John Lennon was free from drink and alcohol for the first time in many, many years, and therefore he managed to find his thoughts abnormally focused. However, with his thoughts now being abnormally focused more than they had been in the previous few years, he struggled to turn his mind off on a night, so therefore he started to suffer from insomnia. So 3 weeks into his stay at the ashram, he began writing a song called I'm So Tired, all about this insomnia that he was suffering from. Meditation was absorbing John Lennon's mind whilst in India, but there was also something else playing on his mind, or rather someone else, Yoko Ono. So whilst in India, John was becoming more and more obsessed with Yoko, and he missed her a hell of a lot. Now whilst he was staying there, Yoko would frequently send him postcards. She was in England at the time, and John later described these postcards that Yoko was sending him in India as his lifeline. It was what was getting him through the day, really, getting him through his time in India. So whilst composing I'm So Tired, John was writing it in the style of an open letter to Yoko. He was detailing to her the fragile state of mind that he was suffering from whilst in India. The song would also contain one of the best lyrics on the entire White Album, one of the cleverest lyrics on the entire White Album. It's the entire verse really where John sings, "It'll have another cigarette," and curse Sir Walter Raleigh, he was such a stupid git. Although John says it as get, which is a weird way of saying it. The correct pronunciation is git. I don't know if it's a Scouse thing to mispronounce it. But anyway, the reason it's clever is a lot of people maybe don't know who Sir Walter Raleigh is, but he was a 16th century explorer. And he was the man who introduced tobacco to England. He was the man who brought it here. And yeah, it's just clever how John is having a cigarette and then while he's doing so, cursing the person who brought it to England. You know, arguably someone else probably would have done it if Sir Walter Raleigh hadn't. But, you know, it's like John is saying that he knows this is bad for him and he's cursing the person, but he can't help himself but do it. I don't think it was quite common knowledge in 1968 how bad smoking was for you. Don't smoke, kids. But it's a very clever lyric, especially now looking back, knowing that, you know, smoking ain't good for you. So the closing line on the song, Monsieur, 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 how about another one? This is a lyric that John sort of mumbles on the recording. And to most people, if you've seen that written down on paper, you would just think that that was another one of those typical John Lennon nonsensical lyrics. However, at the time when this record came out, there was a group of people, a small group of people admittedly, who decided to play the record backwards, and these people, will call them special, I think. These are the type of people that will think that the moon landing was fake and stuff like that. Anyway, they thought when you played this backwards, what the Beatles were saying, what John Lennon was saying when played backwards was, Paul is dead, man, miss him, miss him, miss him. Now, obviously, all four Beatles denied this. John Lennon categorically said that he did not write that lyric. That is just, they're just hearing that because they want to hear it. It's not there. He did not record that. So yeah, it just sort of helped add a little bit of fuel, fire on the fuel of the Paul is dead conspiracy for idiots that believe that. So once back from India, the Beatles regrouped at George's house in Esher during the last week of May in 1968, where they would record 27 acoustic demos, the vast amount of which would end up on the White Album. So one of the demos recorded that day was I'm So Tired, and this demo, it's got pretty much the complete set of lyrics. It doesn't sound too dissimilar to the finished thing, except obviously it's in an acoustic form here. But it does have a spoken word bit at the end of the song about going to the funny farm and stuff like that. I think that's just John improvising at the end. Obviously, I don't think it was ever intended for the final thing. But anyway, if you want to hear this Esher demo, you can. It's on the 50th anniversary edition of the White Album, along with all the other Esher demos that were recorded on that day. The Beatles began recording I'm So Tired at Abbey Road, or EMI Studios as it was actually known then, on October 8th, 1968. This would be one of the final tracks that the band would record for the White Album. So to begin with in this session, they got to work with trying to record the basic track. So for this basic track, Paul McCartney played bass, Ringo Starr played drums, John Lennon and George Harrison both played rhythm guitar, and John even sang his lead vocal as part of the basic track. The band managed to lay the basic track down in 14 takes. So with the basic track laid down, the band could now turn their attention to the overdubs. Firstly, John decided that he would record another vocal track. This vocal track would then be applied to the basic track, which would then be double tracked onto the vocals that John had recorded as part of the basic track. Try saying all that drunk. And Paul also recorded some harmonies to go along with John. The band also added more drums and guitar onto the track, along with some electric piano, organ and a lead guitar track. And that was it. The song was finished. They were done. That was it. No time at all. They completed the track. Yeah, they've been very productive this day, because as soon as they finished this, they then went off and recorded Bungalow Bill, and they finished that in the same session. And before they'd started this, they recorded Long Long Long, and they finished that one in that session. So we'll get to that song later in this series. But yeah, they were being very productive that day. They managed to blitzkrieg the whole thing. Now, if you want to hear some of the stuff from this sessions, well, good news, you can. Firstly, you've got the 50th anniversary edition of the White Album. On that, you can hear both take 7 and take 14. And if that's still not enough, you can also hear a special mix of I'm So Tired on Anthology 3. This consists of takes 3, 6 and 9. It was a special mix created just for Anthology 3. Why they felt the need to create this special mix, I don't know, but there we go. It was made exclusively and mixed in the 90s for this song. The White Album was released on the 22nd of November 1968, and I'm So Tired was the second track on side 2 of the album. It was also the 10th track overall on the album. John Lennon thought very highly of this song. He often spoke of his pride of it, and he just thought it was a damn good recording and a damn good vocal that he did. And that's saying something, because John was often his own biggest critic. He would often slag off his songs, saying he didn't think they were very good, and you know, some of the times he was right maybe, and other times he was talking absolute nonsense, more so talking nonsense for some of the stuff. But the fact he was bigging this one up does obviously show he really did like it, when even he could sing his own praises with this song. Anyway, you'd think that would be the Beatles done with the song now that it was out, but just 2 months later, in January 1969, as part of the Get Back sessions, they actually rehearsed this song. Again, I think it was maybe them just messing about. I don't think they were ever considering it seriously for the project. But yeah, they rehearsed it again, this time though with Paul singing it. It's quite nice actually, I quite enjoy this with Paul singing it. I think he sings it quite well. I wonder should I do, but I know. Oh no, no, you say, putting your arm let me home, you know I can't sleep. So for me personally, I've always really enjoyed I'm So Tired, but for some reason I always forget about it, and I don't know why. Whenever I listen to the White Album, for some reason I always think that track 10 is Blackbird. I don't know why. And I always think when Martha My Dear finishes that Blackbird is what's coming next, but it's not. It's I'm So Tired, and it's always a pleasant surprise. It's not like I'm disappointed. And I don't know why I forget it, because every time I come on, like I say, it's a pleasant surprise. And I'm very happy to hear it. And I'm like, great song this. It also kind of serves as a companion piece to an earlier John Lennon song, I'm Only Sleeping, from 1966 Revolver. Obviously, I'm Only Sleeping is about sleeping, it's about dreaming. It's just a dreamy song, that one. Whereas this is the other side of it, the companion to it. This is the insomnia, you can't sleep side of it. And it's quite interesting how these two songs are just 2 years apart. It just kind of goes to show how fast the Beatles' lives were moving, how much they changed in such a short period of time. I know I've mentioned it already, but I've always really liked the lyric of this song about Sir Walter Raleigh. I just think it's a pure genius lyric. I think it's really clever. You know, for a lot of people, they probably don't know who Sir Walter Raleigh is and they'll just think nothing of it. But for people like me, when I hear this, it just makes me think, who's Sir Walter Raleigh? And I have to go and research it. And, you know, when I do so and I find out who it is, I'm like, what a genius lyric, because it suddenly makes sense why, when he's singing about a cigarette, he's suddenly cursing Sir Walter Raleigh. It's genius. It is utter genius. I've spoken in previous episodes about how the White Album covers so many different genres, and arguably here with I'm So Tired, we've also got another genre it's entering, indie rock. This was a few years before indie rock became a proper thing. But this is kind of proto indie rock. And I read a book, believe it or not, I can read, and I do read books. I read a book a few years ago, I can't remember who it was by, but the author was on about this song, I'm So Tired, and he said that to him, when he hears the song Death of a Disco Dancer by the Smiths, to him that song sounds like the combination of I'm So Tired and Dear Prudence, both from the White Album obviously. And it does! I never realised it until it was pointed out, and then once it was pointed out I was like, oh yeah, that really does sound quite similar. So it kind of goes to show, you know, that the Smiths, probably one of the biggest indie bands of all time, taking direct inspiration from this song. It's brilliant, man. Utter brilliance. Now, if I was to give a slight little critique of the song, if you listen to Take 14 on the 50th anniversary edition of the White Album, you'll hear during some of the song when John's singing, Paul is doing a backing sort of harmony, he's sort of doing an R. And on the finished version that was taken out, and I kind of wish it had been left in. I think it doesn't, you know, it doesn't ruin the song, it adds to it. It just adds a little more depth to it, those little R's. It's just nice little harmonies like that from Paul that I wish had been left in. I don't really know why they were taken out. You'll hear them if you listen to Take 14. So yeah, I wish the R's had been left in personally. So yeah, this is basically another song on the growing list, the ever-growing list of great John Lennon songs on the White Album. And guess what? The list isn't done. There's still plenty more great John Lennon songs to come on this album. So that concludes another episode of the White Album in depth. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed it and you're not subscribed to the channel, well, please do consider subscribing. It would mean a lot. Like, comment, subscribe. I believe that's what everybody says on the internet, on YouTube these days. Although you may be going to say it at the start of the video, actually. I'm obviously a professional at this. Anyway, do all that. If you've enjoyed this as well and you haven't seen the previous episodes in this series, well, if you go on my channel, you will find a playlist that has all the previous episodes in it. And all future episodes will also be added to that playlist. So it's the kind of caring person that I am for you lovely viewers. Anyway, I will see you next time where we will be taking some broken wings and learning to fly. Until then though, do take care.